The people who thrive in retirement don't just have money, they have systems. Little machines running quietly in the background of their life that pay the bills, protect the nest egg, keep the body running, and stop the house from slowly falling down around them. Because here's what changes the day you retire. All the stuff that used to be handled by momentum, payroll, routines, a reason to leave the house, suddenly needs to be handled by you. And if you don't build systems for it, it doesn't get handled at all. It just becomes low-grade background stress with your name on it. So today, I'm walking you through 8 functional systems to build in retirement. Some protect your money, some protect your body, some protect your house and your sanity. All of them are the difference between retired and thriving, and retired and reorganizing the garage for the 4th time this month while its check engine light blinks somewhere in your life. Let's build them. System number 1, the withdrawal system. Let's start with the psychological trap that catches a lot of people. For your entire working life, money showed up on a schedule. Every 2 weeks, ding, direct deposit. You didn't have to decide anything. The money just arrived, like a very responsible pigeon. Then you retire and the money stops arriving. Now you have to be the pigeon. And most people are terrible pigeons. Either they freeze up and refuse to spend anything, clipping grocery coupons while sitting on 800 grand, or they yank money out at random whenever they feel like it, which works great right up until it catastrophically doesn't. So for this system, you recreate the paycheck you relied on for 40 years. You figure out a sustainable amount to pull from your accounts each year, you divide it by 12, and you set up an automatic monthly transfer from your investment or retirement accounts into your regular checking account. Same amount, same day, every month. You literally pay yourself a salary out of your own money. The genius of this is that it takes the single hardest question in retirement, how much am I actually allowed to spend, and answers it once instead of 40 times a year at 11 p.m. while doom spiraling. And there's a second layer here, which is which account you pull from first, taxable, then tax-deferred, then Roth, roughly speaking, though your situation may flip that order. Getting the sequence right can save you a genuinely stupid amount in taxes over 30 years. Be sure to check out our other videos on this channel where we cover smart retirement withdrawal strategies in more detail. System number 2, the bill payment system. Okay, where the withdrawal system controls how money comes in, the bill payment system controls how it goes out, automatically, on time, without you having to think about it, or God forbid, mail a physical check like it's 1994. Here's why this matters more in retirement than it ever did during your working years. When you were employed, your brain was already in handle stuff mode all day, so paying a bill was just one more task in a task-shaped life. In retirement, your brain shifts into a slower, more relaxed gear, which is wonderful, but it also means it becomes shockingly easy to space on the water bill for 6 weeks, not because you can't afford it, because it's Wednesday, and Wednesdays are soft now. So you build a bill payment system. Every recurring predictable bill, utilities, insurance, property tax where you can, subscriptions, the mortgage if you still got one, goes on autopay, pulled from a single checking account, the one you set up in system number 1. See how these stack? The paycheck lands, the bills pull themselves out, and the whole thing runs like a little machine while you're at the lake. 2 rules to keep it from biting you. 1, keep a comfortable cushion in that checking account so autopay never overdrafts you into a fee and a phone call. 2, and this is the part that actually matters, do a monthly 5-minute review. You're not paying the bills anymore, the system is. You're just glancing at the statement to make sure no zombie subscription is quietly charging you $14.99 a month for a streaming service you last opened during a different president. System 3, the meal planning system. Now let's talk about the single most repeated decision of your entire retirement. What's for dinner? You are going to answer that question roughly 1,000 times a year. And if you answer it fresh, from scratch, at 5:45 p.m. every single day, standing in front of an open fridge with the cold air hitting your face and 0 ideas in your head, I have bad news about how that ends. It ends with takeout, again. It ends with you spending more money and eating worse food than a person with a paid-off house and unlimited free time has any excuse to. So, you build a meal planning system, and it does 3 beautiful things at once. It saves money, it improves your health, and it deletes the daily 5:45 panic entirely. The system's simple. Once a week, pick a day, make it a ritual, do it with coffee, you plan roughly what you're eating. You don't need a color-coded spreadsheet like you're catering a wedding. You just need a rough list, these 5 or 6 dinners, these lunches, these breakfasts. Then you build one grocery trip around that list, and you buy what's on the list and not the other 40 things that jump into the cart because you shopped hungry. 2 power-ups. First, batch it. Cook a big pot of something on Sunday, and you've just bought yourself 3 effortless dinners. Second, keep a short menu of about 10 meals you actually like and rotate them, so what's for dinner stops being a creative writing assignment and becomes a multiple-choice question. You've got the time now to eat well and eat cheap. The meal system is how you convert that time into actual home-cooked food instead of a growing pile of pizza boxes and mild regret. System 4, the exercise system. All right, deep breath. Here's an uncomfortable truth from a finance guy. Your whole career, you maintained your assets. You rebalanced the portfolio. You changed the oil. You replaced the roof before it caved in. You treated your stuff with tremendous respect. Meanwhile, the single most valuable asset you own, the one that decides whether all that money is any fun at all, is your own body. And a shocking number of people show up to retirement having done zero maintenance on it for decades. I'm not a fitness channel, you can tell because I'm sitting down, but the return on investment for a basic exercise system in retirement is genuinely absurd. It's the difference between the retirement where you're hiking with your grandkids and the retirement where you're watching them hike from a bench. And notice I said system, not motivation, because motivation is a liar that shows up for 3 days in January and then ghosts you. A system is what carries you on the days motivation doesn't. Here's the system. Movement most days. A real walk counts, and walking is undefeated. Some kind of strength work 2 or 3 times a week, because muscle is the thing that keeps you independent, and independence is the entire ballgame in your 70s and 80s. Something for balance, because the fall you don't have is worth more than any single line item in your portfolio. And you make it recurring and specific, tied to the anchors of your week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I walk after breakfast, not I'll exercise more. Vague goals die quietly. Scheduled ones show up. Build the calendar, not the willpower. System 5, the preventative health system. System 4 keeps the engine running. System 5 is the check engine light, the stuff that catches problems while they're small, cheap, and fixable instead of large, expensive. Here's the thing about preventative health. For your whole working life, you had a built-in excuse. I'm slammed. I'll get to it. You kept getting around to the physical, the dental cleaning, the eye exam, the screening your doctor mentioned twice. Well, I've got news, friend. You are not slammed anymore. That excuse retired the same day you did. The calendar is wide open, which means the only thing standing between you and a checkup is the checkup. So you build a preventative health system, and it's really just a recurring schedule of the boring appointments that quietly save lives and fortunes. The annual physical, the dental cleanings twice a year, the eye exam, the age-appropriate screenings your doctor recommends. You know the ones you dread going into and feel great about coming out of. The skin check.
The system part is this. You don't leave any of it to memory, because memory in retirement is busy forgetting where you put your reading glasses, which are on your head. You put every one of these on a recurring calendar, and pro move, you book the next appointment while you're walking out of the current one. Front desk, same time next year. Done. Now it's a system that maintains itself. Every dollar and every hour you put into this pays back at an insane rate, because the cheapest, easiest version of almost any health problem is the version you catch early. This is preventative maintenance for the asset that has to last the longest. Do not skip your own oil changes. System number 6, the home maintenance system. Here's a fun fact that is not fun. Your house is aging at the same time you are, and unlike you, it will not tell you when something hurts. It'll just quietly let a small $5 problem marinate into a $5,000 problem and then reveal it to you at the worst possible moment, usually involving water and usually at 2 a.m. For most of your life, home maintenance got handled in a chaotic, reactive way. You noticed the thing was broken, you scrambled, you fixed it, you moved on. That wait until it breaks approach is the most expensive way to own a home. And in retirement on a fixed income, surprise 5-figure repairs are exactly the kind of gut punch you want to engineer out of your life. So you build a home maintenance system, which is really just a seasonal checklist that catches the small stuff before it graduates. Spring, check the roof, clean the gutters, service the AC. Fall, furnace check, seal up drafts, drain the outdoor spigots before the freeze. Monthly-ish, test the smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, swap the HVAC filter, walk the house looking for the early warning signs, the little water stain, the caulk that's cracking, the drip that thinks you haven't noticed it. And here's the money part. You also build a home repair fund, a separate little bucket you feed a bit every month, so the day the furnace picks to quit, and it will pick the coldest morning of the year, it's a scheduled non-event you pay for out of the house stuff account, not a crisis that forces you to sell investments at a bad time to cover it. Preventative maintenance on the house is exactly like preventative health on the body. Small, boring, on a schedule, or enormous, terrifying, and all at once. You genuinely get to choose. Choose boring. System number 7, the organized digital system. All right, this next one is invisible, which is exactly why it's easy to ignore. Because right now, your digital life is probably a mess. Your important documents are scattered across 3 folders, a couple of drawers, and 1 email inbox with the organizational structure of a landfill. Your photos are spread across a phone, an old laptop, and a memory card you're afraid to touch. And finding any single thing when you actually need it turns into a 40-minute scavenger hunt with a side of mild despair. So you build an organized digital system, and the whole goal is beautifully simple. Everything has a home, and you can find any of it in about 30 seconds. Here's the system. First, a digital binder, one clearly labeled folder on your computer or cloud drive where your important documents actually live. Insurance policies, tax records, warranties, medical records, the manuals for every appliance you own. All of it sorted into obvious subfolders with names a normal human would guess, and backed up so a dead laptop can't erase years of your life in one afternoon. Second, tame the inbox. You don't have to hit inbox 0 like some kind of monk. You just need enough basic order that the one email that actually matters isn't buried under 9,000 messages from a store you visited once in 2019. A few folders, an unsubscribe spree, and a 5-minute weekly tidy will do it. Third, get your photos into one organized place instead of scattered across 5 devices, so those decades of memories are actually browsable instead of trapped in a phone you're one cracked screen away from losing. The digital system is the modern filing cabinet for your life. Build it now while it's a mildly annoying afternoon of dragging files into folders, and you'll spend the next 20 years finding everything in seconds instead of hunting for it in a panic.
Number 8, the emergency system. Last one, and it's the system everybody assumes they'll figure out when the time comes. And the time is the single worst moment to be figuring it out. Emergencies do not schedule themselves for when you're rested, calm, and thinking clearly. They show up sideways at 3 a.m. in the rain. An emergency system is the stuff you set up now on a calm, ordinary day so that future you, or someone helping future you, isn't inventing a plan from scratch mid-crisis. It's got a few layers. First, the financial layer. A real cash emergency fund, separate and liquid, so a surprise expense doesn't force you to sell investments during a market dip to cover it. This is different from your monthly spending and your home repair fund. This is the life just threw something at me reserve. Second, the medical layer. An up-to-date list of your medications, your doses, your allergies, your conditions, and your doctors, somewhere a paramedic or a family member can find it fast. In an emergency, the person who knows your medical history might be you, and you might not be in a position to talk. That list can genuinely change an outcome. Third, the contact layer. Emergency contacts that everyone actually knows about, plus the powers of attorney, financial and healthcare, set up so that if you can't make decisions for a stretch, someone you trust legally can without a courtroom getting involved. And fourth, the household layer. The basic, when the power's out for the early days, readiness. Water, flashlights, a little cash on hand, knowing where the water shutoff is. Boring prepper light stuff that you'll be thrilled to have exactly once, which is the only time you'll need it. Building the emergency system means picturing the emergency, which is exactly why it's so tempting to skip. But that discomfort is the entire point. You feel it now for 20 minutes on a calm day, so it doesn't hit 10 times worse on the actual worst day. It's the most quietly loving system on this list. So, here's what I want you to do. Pick the one system on this list you don't have yet, the one that made you wince a little. And this week, just start it. You don't have to build all 8 by Friday, you just have to build one and then let it run. If this was helpful, hit that like button and drop a comment. Which system are you starting first? Retirement isn't a finish line where you sit down and stop. It's the part where you finally get to build the life you longed and worked for. So go build the systems. I'll see you in the next one.